Hey, my name's Jack, and if you've ever felt fat, broke, and or stupid before, then this channel's for you. Reading's been a really big, important part of my life. Love to read, if you can't tell by the bookshelf behind me. And the first book that I would like to recommend to everybody is this one, Busy by Tony Crabbe. I thought it was a really transformative book with lots of wonderful information in here for anyone who feels like they have a really busy life. And I know that I'm one of them, and I suspect that you probably are too. And before digging into the book, I just want to read a quick passage that Mr. Crabbe wrote at the end of the book. And he said, "I had a big fear, an unspoken fear, which was fighting against any moves I might make to write. I was scared I might have nothing to say." Well, Mr. Crabbe, just want to let you know that you did have something to say, and I thought it was really powerful, and I highly recommend your book to everyone. And I think it could make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. But first, what is busy? Well, busy is that frenetic, always alert multitasking that propels us through our overburdened lives. Comes straight from the book. It involves always being on, glancing regularly at our phones, and jumping from task to task. It is the juggling, cramming, and rushing that makes up most of our existence. It is urgency, distraction, and exhaustion. And I've definitely felt like that before, and it sucks. You know, you go through the whole day knocking one thing off your list after another, and then at the end of it, you don't feel like you've accomplished anything at all, and that sucks. And that's what being busy is, and that's what we're trying to avoid. But why are we busy? Well, according to the book, we're busy for a number of reasons. The first being that it's easy to be busy. It's really difficult to make tough choices and to consciously do less and to do it more deeply. It's easy to do a bunch of different random things and knock them off your checklist really quick. We're also busy because it allows us to avoid doing the challenging things that will really make a difference in our lives. And quite frankly, given the choice between doing something easy and doing something challenging, more often than not, we're going to do the easy thing. And I'm certainly guilty of that too. The third reason that he mentions in the book is that we've quite frankly branded ourselves as busy. In the absence of doing any meaningful work, we kind of justify our existence by showing everybody how busy we are. Which is another point, is that we're busy because other people are busy. You know, it's a case of monkey see, monkey do. And that's a shame. And a fifth reason is that we're busy because we've become addicted to those wonderful little chemicals that go off in our brain when we start checking things off our to-do list. A couple of emails here, a couple of little tasks there. We feel good, we feel like we're accomplishing something, but really we're not accomplishing anything meaningful at all. So that's why we're busy. But what can we do to avoid being busy? Well, the book breaks it down into three different parts. The first part is what Mr. Crabbe calls mastery. And to gain mastery in anything, we need to focus on what's really important. And there should be no external distractions when it comes to your mastery. So no checking random emails, no doing things that really aren't important, no delaying, no putting off the task at hand. And this means making really, really tough decisions about how you're going to spend your time and occupy your day. It also means making really tough decisions about where you will be focusing your attention. Where will you be putting your energy and focus? And will that be something that's meaningful to you, or will that be something that's kind of just a time waster? The choice is yours. Managing your time doesn't really work. Better than managing your time is managing your attention. Figure out where you're putting your attention during the day and spend more time on the things that are important, that will make a meaningful difference in your life and make some impact, and ignore the rest. It's also important to be aware of your core needs. You know, what do you need to be happy? What do you need to feel satisfied and have a meaningful life? I determined for myself that contributing and learning are two of my core values and needs. So I spend the majority of my time, if not doing these things, at least thinking about them. But I try to do them as often as possible. And it's a slow process, and mastery doesn't happen overnight, but I'm working on it daily, and that's certainly helping with avoiding busy work in my case. And last but not least, we all know this one, but it's important to learn how to say no. And there's a couple of different types of no that you can say and that you can use. They're all great, but saying no more often will certainly help you when it comes to avoiding busy work and not being so busy all the time. The second main area of focus is differentiation. Now, you can't outwork the competition forever. And I certainly come from a school of thought that says that you can. And I've worked really hard and I've had some success, but eventually you get to the point where you're competing against other people who work really hard too, and hard work isn't enough. You need to work with a strategic focus with the limited resources that you have available to you. And one of those resources is time. You can try doing fewer, more important projects over productivity for the sake of productivity's sake. And you can use your creativity. I mean, really, one of the things that's stressed a lot in this book is the idea of being creative. That it's something that you can exercise. And even if you don't consider yourself a creative person, the more that you work on it, the more creative you'll become and the more you can differentiate yourself from the competition. And by working on these areas, you will begin to avoid busy work, putting off the things that aren't important, and focusing on things that can make some real change and impact in your lives and hopefully the lives of other people as well. It's also important to experiment with your ideas and to, of course, keep the things that work, throw away the things that don't work, and repeat that process over and over and over again. And that's one of the ways that you can improve your creativity and your results and your productivity and everything that you're doing. So exercise those creative muscles, and remember, innovation comes from creativity. So experiment with your ideas, toy with them, play with them, keep the things that work, chunk the things that don't, repeat that process over and over and over again. And by doing this, you will begin to move away from just busy work all of the time into something that is more meaningful and impactful for yourself and hopefully for other people as well. As far as differentiation goes, everybody has a personal brand. Now, I'm trying to brand myself as a maker of personal change and somebody who inspires others to do the same. And we all have a brand, whether we choose to accept that or not. And managing that brand is something that's important for us, whether it's within our family or with our colleagues at work or even with strangers. Managing our personal brand is important. And the worst thing that you can do is to brand yourself as a busy person. Someone who's just busy all the time doing Lord knows what. Don't brand yourself as busy, brand yourself as something else. And develop good habits, monitor your progress, and keep track of those results so that you can see how you're doing moving forward. Now, the third main area of focus to avoid being busy all the time is engagement. And step one with engagement is to define your 2 or 3 core values. Keep it a small number. Anything more than that is hard to keep track of them all. And I mentioned it earlier, 2 of my core values are contribution and learning. And I try to make sure that all of the actions that I do during the course of the day revolve around contributing and learning. And no matter what values you choose, whether it's 2 or 3, the same as me, different than me, it's important that you align your activities every single day with those values. And if you do that, you'll be avoiding busy work and you'll be moving towards a life that's more satisfying and fulfilling and impactful for you and for your family and everyone around you. As far as our relationships with our friends and social media goes, Facebook, Instagram, all of these things, quite frankly, it's kind of just busy work and a waste of time. Sorry, YouTube's great, keep watching YouTube all day long, but really we can spend a lot of time on these social networks with very superficial relationships along the way. According to the book, it's better to focus on your 15 really most important relationships, whether it's family or friends, and go deeper into those relationships and build them up, and you'll be more satisfied and less busy all of the time. It's also important to have the courage to commit to something. I know I've been kind of a hobby hopper over the years. I get into something and I commit to it for a little while, and then I get into something else and I do that for a while. But the science shows that we feel more satisfaction when we commit to something for the long term. Doesn't matter what it is. If you like animals, great, commit to them. If you like flying a kite, commit to that and enjoy it and learn everything you can about it, and you will feel more satisfied with yourself and with your life. And thanks to that commitment, you'll probably be less busy along the way. So that's the book, Busy by Tony Crabbe. Really, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I marked it up everywhere. If you can't tell, I've got tons of notes, and I really found this a transformative book, and I know you will too. So if you've ever felt busy, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy, give it a read, and start to apply the lessons in the book to your own life. And there's many, many, many more awesome tips and information in this book. What I presented here was just the tip of the iceberg. So pick it up, give it a read, and change your life. And remember, good intentions, as good as they are, they're not always good enough. So develop the steps to actually implement all of these tips into your own life, and I wish you all the best. If you would like a free one-page PDF summary of the book, you can get one over at my website, www.fatbrokestupid.com. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.